Kaitlin Armstrong goes on trial in Austin today in the murder trial of cyclist Moriah Wilson. Wilson was shot and killed in East Austin the night before she was set to participate in a Central Texas race. The case has received worldwide attention after police say Wilson's death was the result of Armstrong's jealous rage over Wilson's relationship with Armstrong's boyfriend.
Now, senior reporter Plohetski has been following this case since the very beginning, joins us now on set. And there are a lot of people interested in this case, and the defense has what police say is a mountain of evidence to overcome.
And listen, in a case like this, the burden of proof is always on the state to prove their case. But when you look at the evidence in this case, what prosecutors are going to point to are multiple things. And that is, number one, that Kaitlin Armstrong's Jeep SUV was seen in the area the night of the murder and around the time of the murder. Another major point that prosecutors will likely try to capitalize on, and that is shell casings found at the scene, according to ballistic experts, matched a gun that was later found at Kaitlin Armstrong's residence. And then last but not least, police, according to a probable cause affidavit, found, or rather received a tip from someone who said to police that they had actually heard Kaitlin Armstrong say out loud in the months before Moriah Wilson's death that she was so angry at her that she could kill her.
Oh, but really, Armstrong has maintained her innocence, though, throughout all of this, despite that.
One of the things that we expect will be revealed at trial, of course, is what is Kaitlin Armstrong's defense. And what legal experts who have followed this case say is that that defense likely will rest on whether or not police and prosecutors have proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But Yvonne, as you mentioned, Kaitlin Armstrong has steadfastly maintained her innocence. It's unclear whether or not she even entertained a plea deal from prosecutors or whether or not she insisted that this case go forward. One big question going into this trial, though, is whether or not she's going to get on the stand and tell her own story, whether or not she plans to take the stand in her own defense. Experts following this case say potentially the only way that she could be found not guilty is that if she gets on the stand, she provides her own account, and jurors, in the words of one expert, really like her and find her story credible.
Well, it's hard for jurors not to know that they're watching the media, especially that she took off for Costa Rica right afterwards, right? Changed her appearance. And then after she was captured, it's tried to escape from capture, caught on video as well.
I mean, brazen, both times.
With regard to the alleged flight to Costa Rica, whether or not that can be used in the guilt-innocence phase of the trial, the answer to that is likely yes. Her defense team may try to stop that from coming into play, and a judge may have to determine whether or not it unfairly biases the jury. But at the same time, her travel to Costa Rica in the immediate aftermath of Moriah Wilson's death likely will be used to try to point toward her as the suspected killer in this case. But whether or not, and you can see it there on your screen, her recent flight from custody, her recent escape attempt will be used in guilt-innocence is less certain, because it really does not necessarily speak to the narrative and the set of facts related to Moriah Wilson's death.
And again, that felony charge, escape causing bodily injury, because those officers were injured during that.
You saw the one slip and fall down.
That's right. They did receive minor injuries. One thing we do want to note, and that is, if you're planning to follow this case, the judge is not allowing it to be streamed. In fact, cameras are actually only going to be allowed in the courtroom for opening statements, closing statements, and the reading of the verdict. But we will be in the courtroom closely monitoring this case, and we'll have all of the information for you here.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tony, for being with us this morning.